Okay, we're gonna call the meeting to order now, please.
It's about halfway
And I
now.
ask the student school board representatives to lead the pledge of allegiance, please. Would everyone stand?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And would you please do the roll call?
Kristen Benzie, Jennifer Ray,
Here.
Jason Zadunis,
Here.
Jennifer Cliff,
Here.
Cheryl Maddox Smith,
Here.
Cassidy Thomas, here, Eric Smith,
Here.
Thank you. I would entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
Motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Second.
Motion made by Jason Zudnik and second by Jen Cliff. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. And the superintendent's report.
Thank you, Mrs. Ray, and thank you, Sandy Knoll, for hosting this evening. I'd like to invite Sandy Knoll Principal Stacy Brock up to give a brief presentation on what's happening here.
Good evening. Welcome to Sandy Knoll. Everyone hear me okay? My staff will say she doesn't need a microphone, but I have one. I'm going to be putting a few of my staff members on the spot this evening. We have some, great things happening in our school, so we're super excited to share all of those wonderful things with all of you. All right, I won't read verbatim, I promise. But there's some things I'm really extremely proud of with this building. This is a true positive teamwork climate here, and the collective efforts of the staff in this building are evident in our academic, social, emotional supports, and overall school environment. We have a diverse population of students, starting with our early childhood special education classrooms to our functional skills program. From the very first day of school, our teachers and support staff actively work to create an inclusive and welcoming environment. They recognize that each student comes with their own unique background, experiences, and challenges. Collaborating with gen ed teachers and integrating students into the classrooms has been a priority, allowing for positive role modeling and experiences. That's just an excerpt from that. I'm just super proud of my staff. I built the capacity in all of them to be able to handle each and every student that we have come into the building. They're nurturing, they're caring, they go above and beyond, and I couldn't be any prouder of the people I work with in this building. So kudos to all of them. We start the school year going through our objectives that we want to tackle. Some of the things that we've tackled already this school year, our social emotional learning plan for the building. Mr. Brazier and Mr. Mason have been working on developing a vertically aligned social emotional building plan at each of our grade levels. We developed a school-wide SEL screener. We use something called My Savers, which is part of the FastBridge assessment that we have. It's an SEL screener for students to 2nd through 5th grade. And then we created one for our kindergarten and 1st grade students. And I sat in and did some of those one-on-one with those kiddos, and it was absolutely amazing to have those conversations. It was a lot of fun. And then we use that data to decide what our focus is going to be at each grade level within our classrooms and in our SEL electives. We also have incorporated a monthly supporting our students meetings to collectively brainstorm ideas and address specific student behavioral and academic concerns. And these meetings have been incredibly beneficial in supporting all of our students and staff. It's always great to sit down and brainstorm with one another. Implementing a focus on Tier 2 SEL small intervention groups. These groups address anxiety, friendships, conflict resolution, regulating emotions, and Emily, our school counselor, has been implementing these groups throughout the school year. Aligning writing and grammar throughout the grade levels. We are still working on that. But our actual handwriting curriculum, ECSE through second grade, we use handwriting without tears. And if you were able to see some of the handwriting, particularly in first grade, after they've gone through it in junior kindergarten, it is amazing handwriting. Super proud of those kiddos. Creating literacy blocks that incorporate our new ELA curriculum, which is our Wit and Wisdom, along with keeping the focus on systematic phonics instruction at our JK through second grade levels. And that is evident also in our scores. So I had to bring in some of our charts from EduClimber. Green is good. Our scores from our last spring MSTEP were very healthy, very wonderful scores. So I'm looking forward to what we will see this spring. These NWA scores are from the winter. We are already in the 70 something percentile. It ranges from 68th, I think, to the green goes up to the 80th percentile. So we are already well on our way. Same with our math scores. And then these charts are kindergarten fast bridge reading and math. Green is good. Again, we have very few kids that are at risk. This is our winter scores from fall to winter. And then again, our first grade, our second grade also in reading and math. So I am looking forward to seeing how much growth we have this spring from the beginning of the school year to the end of the school year. Part of that is utilizing our Tier 2 interventions within the classroom. We have Title I teams where we have small group interventions with students that have some specific needs. We address those needs in Title teams, but we also address them within our classroom. Our teachers put a very heavy priority on that. Every day our classroom teachers are analyzing data, things like formative assessments, classwork, and observations to identify specific skill gaps. And based on that information, they create small targeted groups within their classroom to address those needs. What makes it very powerful is its flexibility. So teachers can adjust groups frequently based on student progress. So these are very fluid groups. When we progress monitor, and we make sure that these particular interventions are having an impact, students move in and out of groups based on what their progress monitoring data results show. So they do a great job, and they cross classrooms as well. So we have students maybe going into a challenge group in another grade level teacher's room. We do this is all the grade levels. This works very well, and it really is addressing some of those needs that we have. Enriching student growth through coaching. One of the wonderful things that we have in our buildings are instructional coach, and we focus on student-centered coaching. Student-centered coaching focuses on using data to set goals and evaluate the effectiveness of that coaching cycle. It's collaborative. Coaches work with teachers to design instruction rather than fixing them. And the coaching cycles emphasize using structured, short-term, and long-term. They can be, we've done some mini cycles, and I'll have Amy explain more about that, and we've done some long-term cycles which can take 4 to 6 weeks to focus on specific learning targets in our classrooms. I'm going to put Amy Pruner, our instructional coach, in the hot seat right now to go through a few of these other slides, and then talk about our amazing robotics team that went downstate this year for state championships.
Hi everybody, Amy Pruner, I'm the instructional coach in our building. Eleanor will probably tell you I don't need a microphone either. One of my old second graders, it's so good to see you. So as far as coaching cycles that have happened in our building, we have to date, we have 7 completed coaching cycles, 6 mini. We've got 2 ongoing coaching cycles as well as 1 mini coaching cycle going on. You know, we do focus a lot on the coaching cycles, but there are a lot of other things that happen in our building that are not just coaching cycles. You know, we take part in a lot of the PD that happens, and you know, creating opportunities for the teachers to have some of that embedded learning that happens in our buildings every day. We've got a lot of experts in this building that can help, and people can learn from each other, so we're doing a lot of that. Just being a part of PLCs, our grade level meetings that happen, talking about students, you know, making that movement within tier 2 interventions, things like that. We also have played a big part in helping get some of the essential standards developed for math and reading. And also we've got a lot of new curriculum coming at teachers, and being a part of that, helping them unpack that, understand what needs to happen, is a big part of this job as well. So this is just a little bit of data from the coaching cycles that we have had. Most coaching cycles will have a pre-test and then also a post-test to show that the learning targets have been met. And this is just a collaboration of all of the coaching cycles that have been completed this year. So as far as proficiency goes, most of the students were, like 44% of the students were proficient. And then with the post-test assessments, on average, we were at 69%. So it shows a lot of growth. And then as far as how we break down each of them, so proficient levels would be that meeting or exceeding level. So we can also see the other ones. We've got a lot of growth happening from that emerging to developing level as well, which is really cool to see. So as far as the coaching practices that we are working on within those coaching cycles, you can see how the analysis of student work, collecting student evidence to drive instruction, a lot of that has been really important to the work that we do this year, as well as a lot of collaborative planning. And I feel like sometimes that is where I can find an in with a lot of teachers, like, hey, just come on in and sit down. Sometimes it's a little bit more intimidating having someone in their classroom, but just sitting down and doing some collaborative planning can be really helpful, especially, you know, with Bill. He's a singleton. I call him singletons in our building. He doesn't have someone to collaborate with as far as music goes, but, you know, having a coach in the building that can help collaborate that way is super important. So those are just a few of the things that we spend a lot of time on during the coaching cycles.
Hi, my name is Sarah Maxson, and I'm a first grade teacher at Sandy Knoll. Hi, I'm Piper Strayland. I'm the other first grade teacher at Sandy Knoll. And we wanted to share with you something really awesome that we did starting last year with our instructional coach, Amy Pruner, and we carried over to this year called Math Camp. So we started off with having our instructional coach take our students to do the ABMR structuring numbers assessment. So we were working on different number partners, structuring the 5, structuring the 10, starting with wanting to know what our students know and what areas with number concepts do we need to hit hard going into our place value unit. So last year when we started Math Camp, we did our Math Camp with Mrs. Pruner after we started our place value unit, and this year we started at B4. And when Mrs. Pruner pulled our students out and did the assessments, it gave us a really broad understanding of what did our students already have, so that way we didn't have to spend the time teaching them concepts that they were already familiar with. And then where was a really good starting point to give them that foundational understanding of concepts moving into our math unit for place value. In the 2 weeks that we worked on it, Mrs. Pruner came into our classrooms, and we were kind of able to have a different role than we normally do, where we were able to be more
Watching your students learn, like learning with them.
more, you know, letting her kind of take on more of that instructional role, letting us move more into working with more students that we might not normally get to, have more conversations that we don't always necessarily have the time to do during a homework lesson. So that was a really cool experience to do. We worked on different concepts like putting numbers on a number line, or anchoring to numbers of 5 and 10, breaking down numbers into, you know, ways that we don't always normally do using just our math expressions curriculum.
Yeah, doubles plus the minus 1, which is a tricky concept for first graders. So after we wrapped up our math camp, we waited an additional couple weeks just to see what
concepts stuck with our students, and then Mrs. Bruner facilitated, how should we say, like another assessment for students that were not already at end of year expectation for first grade with the ABMR screener. And we had really great growth. All of our students grew. Our students were up to almost 80% proficiency in each of our classes, which was really, really impressive, and great growth even from our group last year. But the learning didn't stop after that either. Using the Ready Set Math activities and other strategies that students worked on during camp, we've been building, structuring number concepts into our daily math talks that also goes along with our math expressions curriculum. So our students, like, they're loving math, they're encouraged, they're having conversations at home, the parents are on board, we're sending materials that is reinforcing concepts here at school, and our students, like, they're visualizing math in incredible ways, and they're explaining their thinking. It's not just memorizing things, and this is all thanks to not just Mrs. Brock supporting this idea that Mrs. Bruner brought to us, but the hard work that Mrs. Bruner put into really planning and coaching and leading this with fidelity.
It was a lot of fun. It was really easy for us to do, and yeah, we'll do it
Every year from now on.
Thank you.
They were sweating. They're like, we're not coming here in person, but we will videotape us, and they were still sweating. So I started something this year with fifth grade. We have a fifth grade student leadership team. And part of the reason I wanted to do this is I wanted to incorporate some student voice into things that we do here in our building. We started with each morning, I have 2 fifth graders that say the Pledge of Allegiance and read announcements for the day. That's a pretty important role for them that they take very seriously. We planned a lot of activities throughout the school year. They planned a snowman making contests throughout the grade levels. We did a Cocoa card for the teachers. We're going to do an Earth Day, like have the classrooms pick up any kind of garbage around like the schoolyard and around the block. So they come up with ideas on their own. But it's really, we meet every Friday, and we don't just plan things, but we also have conversations about things that are happening in 5th grade. What are some things that you might want to see on the playground? We've brought Officer King in to talk about like cell phones, cybersecurity, safety, e-bike safety. So they come up with these ideas on their own, and it's a way for me to really get in touch with what's happening with my 5th graders. And some of the highlights of it allows them to work collaboratively together and have a voice in solving problems around the building, and so they come up with suggestions to improve our overall school climate and improve social and emotional skills, boost their confidence. They are incredible in the morning on the announcements. And it fosters responsibility, giving them some empowerment to take ownership over what happens in the building. So it's been a really, really great thing this year that I will continue because it's had such a positive impact on the kids. The clubs and organizations that we have had this year, we have the Lego Robotics Club, and we'll hear more about that shortly. We've had Art Club. Barbara Hillier has run the Art Club twice this year. Start Fit, Stay Fit, which we have students from NMU have ran 2 different sessions of Start Fit, Stay Fit, and then our elementary track. I will have Ms. Kruger come back up. We're super excited. We had a big send-off before Christmas break for our robotics team.
So I started the Lego Robotics team as an after-school club, and it has grown into something that I'm really super proud of. We were able to qualify for the state championships this year, and I think we were the first ones ever for elementary school. This is probably the first time that anybody has qualified. The kids worked super hard, and they were super excited. It was a pretty cool experience going down to state. They had done their presentation to the judges, and all that was left was their 3 runs on their robot that were spread out throughout the day. They were having a hard time controlling the robot, getting it to do what it was supposed to, and their runs were between like 110. We even had a 95 in there. Their goal was to beat their qualifier score, which was 180. And on our final run, the stars aligned. They worked really, really well, and we ended up with a score of 215. So that put us from second to last, which was 52nd place, up to 40th. And so, you know, we tried not to focus too much on the place, but that they did reach their goal. They worked together, they managed to do it. They got a lot of compliments from a lot of the volunteers, how polite they were, even how they were doing the work. The adults were not, they could tell that group knew what they were supposed to do, and they did it, and I couldn't have been prouder. But again, just being able to get grants and things like that from the different ed foundations and things like that have made this possible for these kiddos. And you know, a lot of these kids are not sports kids, but it gives them an opportunity to be a part of a team and represent their school and things like that. So
The community support was incredible.
yeah, it really was. We're super proud.
Yep, absolutely. All right, the creative arts. Mr. Brazier is teaching piano lessons in music. You want to come up here, Bill, and kind of explain?
So you can see the video in the foreground there. So I'm pushing the envelope quite a lot, and I brought in got a grant from our parent group here at the school, and I brought in 14 keyboards that we're sharing on groups of 2. And the next year we hope to expand it to 28 keyboards, so a whole class set can have them. And then I'm teaching keyboards for 1st, 2nd, and 3rd grade. So my premise is so that every Sandy Knoll student, when they graduate from Sandy Knoll, will be able to play the ukulele, the recorder, and the piano in a basic sort of way. And they're having fun for it. We have hour specials here, so it's great for cementing into the curriculum, and it's just a good thing. They're loving it, and they're learning all of their keys and their treble clef and bass clef and all that. So if there's any questions, I'll entertain any questions. Okay.
Reading music.
And reading music, learning it and playing it, and yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. No, it's been great. And Jackie Wager, who is our art teacher, is absolutely amazing. She is. Can't stop. Absolutely amazing. Connecting to our community, having students learn about our community and support efforts within our community to help others is an important lesson for everyone. So, you know, our fire safety, we get the dictionaries from, I believe it's the Legion, the Lions, yep. Rocky Socks, we sing the national anthem at Pigs and Heat, and then we also collect the TK6 Canathon. And then we had a raking event with Sandy Knoll School Association. We have that every year, and families volunteer to rake the entire Sandy Knoll playground. So, another way we connect with the community is our collaborative efforts between NMU and our building. We get a lot of NMU students. I think that I have had over 60 students that come in for observations weekly. I've hired several education students as sub-noon hour supervisors and sub-aides. Kelly Gunther, I'm gonna put her on the spot. She is one that has been working here year-round. I try to navigate their classes, but what an experience to be in our classrooms and also helping on the playground. It's hard to get noon hour supervisors sometimes because of the hours, but it works great for our NMU students if we can make that work around their classes. So Kelly, how has your experience been here at Sandy Knoll?
to say it's been awesome. Being in the education department, we learn so much from textbooks and being in classes. And they do give us like observation hours and stuff. But if you have a foot into the school and you're working there, it makes it a lot easier to get those hours. Plus, be a part of the school community. I work with students one-on-one. I've been in recess. I've helped grade papers. I've been special education. Like, I've been all of the things instead of just being focused on the gen ed classroom.
We also have paid tutors through NMU. They are paid by NMU and they come and work in our buildings. They're able to work up to 20 hours, so we utilize them as much as we can to help in the classrooms. And because I'm in walking distance too from NMU, I get a lot of students. So it works great, and we use them to as much as we can. So I'll wrap it up with what our goals for the 26-27 school year. We sit down as a staff and our MTSS building leadership team and think about ideas that we want to implement into next school year. Training our support staff by utilizing learning walks and staff shadowing. I'll just highlight these, I won't read through all of them. Creating a monthly SEL theme word and have classroom teachers decide how they want to extend that. And celebrate and work on that theme throughout the month. I am hoping to complete, I've talked about the greenhouse and the reading forest forever. I did get a local contractor who went to school here at Sandy Knoll as a child to donate his labor to put our music section onto our playground. We have all the materials for this. The labor has just been, we bid out, it's been pretty costly, so now we have a local contractor who's donating his labor to make that happen. The Reading Forest and Greenhouse, I talked with Northern's construction management team. I'm going to fill out an application and see if they would be willing to tackle that potentially in the fall as one of their projects. So I am working on that. I'm trying to get that all done. We do have all of the materials for the Reading Forest. We just need someone to put it in. So. And then continuing to work on reviewing and updating our priority essential standards that Amy alluded to earlier for our core subject areas. The priority standards have a tremendous impact on what we focus our intervention groups on, and it also ensures that we're correctly aligned with our standards K-5. So that has been a lot of work that we've started, and we also have had our curriculum teams working on that to create all of those priority standards for our district. So we're looking forward to those objectives and many more things in the 26-27 school year. That is Sandy Knoll at a wrap. Thank you.
Okay, so next up, thank you very much, Mrs. Brock and Mrs. Pruner and Mr. Brazier and Kelly. I didn't catch your last name, but thank you very much. And next up is Mrs. Bridget Joyce from Myron Construction. Myron Construction is our construction manager for the May 5th, 2026 bond proposal, and Mrs. Joyce is going to give us an update.
Hi everybody. I also don't need a mic, so if I kind of hop around, don't mind me. Great to see you all again. Bridget Joyce with Myron Construction. Thanks for the introduction, Zach. Quick intro / update for everyone as we are 15 days out from our bond election. There we go. My purpose in being here tonight, especially to you guys as board members, is to just kind of give an update on what we've been up to the last few weeks since I've been here to present to you all, and then I will be back again in 2 weeks, right before, literally the day before the election, to talk to you guys one more time. But by the numbers, this is what we've done as of Friday when I finished this presentation. But additional numbers that are backed up by the handout that you all just kind of received the Media Brew crew that we are partnering with on a bit of the advertising, radio, media campaign and Google advertisements are included in these numbers. But just wanted to give you guys a really holistic picture of all the efforts that have gone into this election campaign so far. So we've done 20 plus presentations to different local organizations. 23 as of Friday, so probably more than that now. Social media posts about bond, that's just coming from the school district. That's outside of the Media Brew post, that's outside of any other groups that might be sharing our posts. 37 separate attendees at the 2 separate town hall meetings and school tours that we hosted back in early March. Over almost 3,000 clicks on advertising. So that's in the data that you guys received as a handout, and almost 30,000 mailings sent. So that's in 2 separate mailings that went to every resident in the MAPS district. So I think just those numbers as a whole, I think that you've done a really, really amazing job at reaching your community members. I think you have done a great job reaching your voters before Election Day, and hopefully there's very few people that can say they don't know what's going on the ballot, right? That's the goal. To kind of reiterate those communications efforts, just a little splash page. So a few headlines that we've been in recently. Zach did an amazing interview on Channel 6. But our overall goal in our bond communication process, as you can see there, is mobilize, energize, and emphasize. We're now in that final phase. We're emphasizing our message, right? We've gotten our message out to the community in those first 1 to 2 months of this communications effort. And now we are re-engaging, re-emphasizing that message as we kind of close in on our final 15 days here. There we go. Communications lately. So a few things that have hit in the last few, I would say like last week. I hope you all received a postcard in your mailbox. If you haven't, it's coming soon. But a postcard that kind of reinforces the messaging of hitting the election day traffic and making sure that everyone takes time to vote on May 5th. The banners that you're seeing out and about around the school buildings, there are a few additional banners remaining. If you have any ideas for locations, that'd be awesome. But we would love to get those out and about. They're a great reminder to people as they're driving by our school buildings that the election is coming up, and to educate yourself on the bond. FAQ document, Courtney did an awesome job and posted a PDF version of some FAQs. So as you are talking to community members, or maybe you yourself have a question about what's included in the bond proposal, there's a robust document that has a few sections of commonly asked questions about bond proposals and MAPS' bond proposal in specific. So definitely check that out on the website. And we will continue our weekly social media posts all the way through Election Day. We will have a couple like in a quick succession leading up right to Election Day. What's coming next for our communications? So we are in final design of the backpack stuffer. That's a draft that you see there. That'll be sent home to every MAPS student to bring home to their parents. So that'll be an awesome kind of front and back last little reminder about the election and what's included on the effort of the ballot there. Final push to vote will be an all-in effort on those last couple days, right? So parents and staff expect an email as well as some social media posts, presentations in the next couple days, as well as a new radio advertising campaign. So listen in on the radio. There's some new student council voiced radio ads that Media Brew has been working with the kiddos on, which are awesome, and continued efforts on the Google ad campaign. What you need to know as board members. So here's just a couple quick facts. You've seen these all before, but wanted to reiterate for those in the room. That's our bond proposal language. It is long, but that was intentional. We wanted to be very clear with our voters what was included in this $59.995 million proposal. Proposed scope, this graphic has been helping us to kind of identify what is included at each building. As we hear people asking what's included and what are each of the buildings in the district receiving as in this proposed project, steer them to this graphic. It's really helpful. Key priorities. our three main categories of this entire proposal and the reasoning behind what we're hoping to achieve on May 5th is safety, infrastructure, and programming for all of the MAP students. Estimated property tax impact, or what does this mean for your wallet? It's a 1.55 mils per $1,000 of taxable property value would be the impact to receive that $59.995 million bond for the district. This is a new graphic for you guys. This is our conceptual project schedule. So this is something that's included in our FAQ document, but wanted to, as we are approaching the election day, people start asking what's next, right? So naturally that evolves into, when are we gonna see dirt moving? When are we gonna see more detailed plans at each school? This gives us a really great outlook as to when our design, procurement, and then construction scheduling would be. So this has been vetted by all of your teammates and is available on the website. Kind of hard to see up there, so I apologize. Big bullet points, what you guys need to know at the end of the day, this is a community-driven solution, right? We went through the entire survey process with our friends at School Perceptions. We asked the community what they would support. We listened to them, made a really amazing bond proposal plan that positively impacts every student in every building in the district. Our priorities are safety, infrastructure, and programming. Like I mentioned earlier, every building and every student will be impacted. If you need more info, head to that website. There's a ton of amazing information out there. If anyone asks questions of you guys, send them to the website. It is a treasure trove of all of the process and all the information thus far in this proposal. And last but not least, please vote on May 5th. The more people that turn out in these elections, the better outlooks for our schools. So make your vote count. What board members can do in these final 15 days. Please be visible, be informed, and be consistent. If you still have those MAP spawn buttons, feel free to wear them into the grocery store, if you're going to a sporting event, if you're picking up your kids from school. Just more visibility, another subtle reminder to people to hit the ballot or hit the election on the 5th. Have one-on-one conversations. If you are seeing or hearing of constituents in the district that still have questions or feel uninformed or disengaged, hop on the phone or shoot them a text or an email and see if they are willing to have a conversation with you. Reinforce those key messages that we've talked about in the last couple slides, and make sure you guys vote. Vote and remind others to vote, and then wear that vote sticker on the day. Days get busy, I understand, so every intention to vote at 7 a.m., 6 p.m. comes very quickly, so. There we go. All right, helpful reminders, kind of reiterating my previous slide, but stick to the facts. So I know we've talked about this before, but information versus advocacy, we're always very informative in our role here as a district. So stick to those facts and share the district approved information on the site. When in doubt, direct questions back to the website. It's okay for you to say, I don't know, but I can help you get that information. So if you guys don't feel confident answering a question, feel free to reach out to any of the teammates that you have at your disposal. And consistency matters more than volume. So it doesn't have to be shared a lot, but that consistent message matters. Okay, that was super quick. I didn't want to take a ton of your time. Any questions for me on how things have been going, what we're looking at in the future, before I see you all again on the 4th? Questions? Awesome. Well, thank you all for your time, and keep spreading the good word.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Joyce. Very helpful. Myron Construction, their team, Bridget and her team, Mr. Sovereign, they have been absolutely fantastic to work with, so kudos to all of you. And I don't think we could have pulled this off without your help. So, thank you. Just a little bit more on facilities before I'll turn it back over to Mrs. Ray. You have some other items on the agenda that we will be considering here in a short bit under new business. And I'm not going to talk about those projects in detail, but just want to make sure you know that there are folks in the audience. I see Mr. Roberts, GEI here, and he's our owner's rep. Is it Dobbs? Mrs. Dobbs from IDI, who's a mechanical engineer, and she is here to help answer questions about a boiler control system upgrade that we're looking at. So I've talked in past presentations about just how much we're investing in infrastructure as compared to the amount of money that we have coming in. I've thrown out $3 million roughly a year that we've been investing in our facilities, and that is in fact true. Our sinking fund brings in about $1.3 million a year. Obviously, there's quite a discrepancy. And projects like what you'll be considering this evening are I guess, included in the next phase of facilities improvement outside of this bond proposal, just to make sure I address, the questions that come up about whether or not the district is making an effort with the funds that we have in place. And we have $3 million a year with the $1.3 million income is quite an investment, in my opinion. So again, this evening you're going to be hearing about additional boilers at Superior Hills and Cherry Creek. You're going to be hearing about improvements to HVAC controls, basically boiler controls and alarms for all of our buildings. And just a review, we've also the board recently has approved roughly $600,000 for roof replacements, roughly $735,000 for elevators, and just $240,000 this evening that is being considered. So it's been a heavy lift managing these facilities, and we have not been able to keep up with the need. Over 750,000 square feet of buildings. Again, average age of our building is 60 years old. We have not been able to keep up with the current revenue that is in place. Although we're very appreciative of the voters for supporting the sinking fund. 1.3 million a year just is not going to cut it with over $100 million of identified needs. So just some more background information to supplement what Mrs. Joyce presented this evening. I also want to allude quickly to one other agenda item under new business. I will be asking the board to extend 27L funding to our non-union employees. 27L was a grant from the state of Michigan, legislatively driven grant that provided compensation to our staff who were working under a collective bargaining agreement, and we're asking you to consider extending that to our non-union employees, and the cost of that would be roughly $31,000. Last thing I want to mention is the last day of school, which has been a very hot topic as of late, and it has been enormously challenging this year to answer what seems like a simple question. We were scheduled to be done on June 11th, but that was before we realized we would have 11 snow days. Now 11 is a lot, but not as much as many of our neighbors, so I'm grateful that we have only 11, but that is a challenge. We had get 6 days approved. We had 3 additional days approved by the state superintendent, and there is currently legislation being proposed to potentially waive an additional day for that very unique storm that we had in middle of March, 16th and 17th, I believe. But I just wanted to tell folks that aside from any additional forgiveness, we're looking at June 15th as our last day of school rather than June 11th. And want to make sure people are on notice that we're nothing else to transpire. We're going to be going to school on Monday, June 15th. I am, again, making efforts not only through that legislation, but also through internal efforts with instructional PD days. I won't get into the nuance of what that means, to try to get an additional day forgiven so that we can be done on June 12th. So I would say that the most likely scenarios, again, barring any more forgiveness, June 15th, and if one of the 2 pathways we've embarked upon works out for getting an additional day forgiven, then our last day would be on June 12th. And then just want to give a quick plug to kindergarten registration, that we are well into the window of kindergarten registration. That has been happening for quite some time. We'll soon be opening up registration for all grades. That's going to happen on April 24th. And if you go to our website, you can find out much more information about how to go about registering for kindergarten, or any grade for that matter, resident students, and then soon to come school choice students. But anyway, go to our website for more information on kindergarten registration or call our office. And quick shout out to Mrs. Hopper, who takes the lead on managing the very complex logistics for that particular endeavor. So thank you all again for coming tonight, for our speakers, for Sandy Knoll for hosting, for our board for your leadership. I'm very excited to see what happens in a couple weeks and one day on May 5th, so we can start charting out the path forward for Marquette Area Public Schools. So that is all I have, Mrs. Ray. The table is yours.
Thank you. Okay, I would entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I move we approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Okay, we have a approved and a second by Eric Smith and Jen Clip. Any discussion here at all? Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Another? Okay, and at this point in time, we'll hear from the student, school board representative report.
First of all, I just want to say it was great to hear what's going on here at Sandy Knoll. And as your guys' presentation went on, I was very, very impressed, and I'm very proud to say that this is my elementary school. For arts at MSHS, we have a choral concert on April 29th, an orchestra concert on May 4th, a band concert on May 5th, and our choir ensemble is going downstage to perform on May 7th, 8th, and 9th. For our athletics, spring athletics are finally in full swing. We have a baseball game tonight at home. Tomorrow we have a track meet, girls soccer game, and softball game. We have a tennis meet at home on Wednesday and a golf meet on Thursday in Menominee. Okay, and then some academic updates. Freshmen, sophomores, and juniors just completed their standardized testing, and makeups are continuing through this week. And then a handful of students will be participating in Science Olympiad States this weekend. Some things that Student Council is focusing on and looking forward to in the next month. Powder Puff Volleyball, which is the junior versus senior boys, that is taking place tomorrow night in the gym. And then elections for our 2026-2027 Student Council will be taking place within the next few weeks. Special good luck to Eleanor. And then, yeah, I just wanted to continue her praise for Sandy Knoll. I know I'm about to graduate, but wow, if I could go back and choose an elementary school, you guys might have persuaded me to choose this one. That was awesome. And then also, I just want to encourage everybody who's here and who's watching the live stream to go check out our website for all the information about the bond and do your own research and go vote on May 5th. Thank you.
Thank you both. And we have no comments from the public, so we will move on to new business. We have a number of proposals here. So the first one would be, I'd entertain a motion to adopt the AHERA asbestos resolution.
This is a designee, this is required for our district, all school districts, to designate basically a lead, a HERA representative to help manage asbestos that might be present in a school district. And we are proposing that Mr. Vanderskap, who's here in attendance tonight, our auxiliary services director, be designated on behalf of MAPS.
I make a motion that we consider the adoption of the AHERA asbestos resolution as presented.
Second.
Was that you? I thought I heard you first. Okay, wonderful. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Is Mr. sorry, I think I got the last name correct. Is he going to be mentioned in here, is he?
Yes, I don't have it in front of me, but he is mentioned by name. You may have the blank version, but the one that will get approved ultimately will have his name.
Okay.
Okay.
Have his name and we'll just have his position.
sorry, I stand corrected, I thought it was his name, his position.
Position, so that we don't have to go back every time to change, any time to change.
Get out
Auxiliary Services Director.
But that is, our strategy has always been is to put by position as opposed by name. But we do have a certification letter that we will have them sign after, if the board approves that resolution.
And it's stirring, yeah, so.
Any other questions, discussion? Okay, then all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, moving right along here, we now will be considering awarding the Cherry Creek Elementary School and Superior Hills Elementary School boiler replacement to Prime Specialty Contracting as recommended in our packet as well. So if I can have a motion and a second.
If I may, Mrs. Ray, I think there
Yes.
might be a pattern here on these,
Thank you.
just to provide a little bit more information. Mr. Roberts from GEI oversaw this project and is available to answer questions. So Mr. Roberts, prepare to step up to the mic if there's anything detailed, because it'll be beyond my expertise. But we did recently replace one of the boilers at both Cherry Creek and Superior Hills and realized that one was not enough. The new boilers that we put in were not interfacing with the older boilers as well as we have hoped. They're functional, but not nearly as efficient as they should be. So we thought, while the parts are still available, parts being the boilers that were originally replaced, while those same boilers are available to replace the second boiler, the older boiler, we thought this was the time to do it. So that is the reasoning that is behind that particular proposal.
I'll make a motion to award the Cherry Creek Elementary School and Superior Hills Elementary School boiler replacement to Prime Specialty Contracting as recommended.
Second. Okay, we have Cassidy Thomas and Jen Cliff as a second. Any discussion on this? Questions?
Was Prime the original contractor for the first replacement, for the other replacements?
Yes.
Last 3 years.
And,
Not the original ones. I don't believe they were the original.
and we were happy with the job that was performed. Thank you.
Okay, further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, and then our last one. Yes. Okay, to consider approving the HVAC controls proposal by Johnson Controls as recommended. If I could get a motion for that, please.
Again, if I could just interject, I'm sorry, I want to make sure the board has an understanding of these proposals. So, for as long as I've been, not just the superintendent, but in administration, there's been a lot of inefficiency with respect to alarm call-outs that we get in our buildings, and they're relatively frequent. So our principals, myself, administration, our maintenance crew will get calls for boiler alarms, CO2 alarms, a number of different technical aspects of these mechanical systems. And quite honestly, many times they're unnecessary call-outs, or we don't have the expertise to really mitigate whatever it is that's going on. So that, along with just the system in and of itself, the technical aspects of the system and the electronics of the systems with the new technology, warranted an improvement, and that is what this particular proposal is all about. Mr. Vanderscaff, who's also an electrical engineer, probably has a better understanding, perhaps Mr. Roberts, on this project. Mrs., and I might have pronounced it, is it not Dobbs? It is Dobbs, okay. Mrs. Dobbs from IDI is a mechanical engineer, and she knows the most about this particular project, and I appreciate her help overseeing it. Its implementation. So if you have any questions on this one, Mrs. Dobbs, I'm going to ask you then to step up to the mic to help answer the questions.
Can I get a motion then to
I'll make a motion that we consider approving the HVAC control proposal by Johnson Controls as recommended.
Support.
Any discussion or questions?
I'm curious, there are a number of exclusions in the proposal from JCI, and I'm wondering whether that's going to represent additional costs as the project moves forward.
What specific exclusions are you looking at?
Well, third-party commissioning, testing and balancing, those kinds of things, some dampers.
Yep, so there are no dampers that would be included in this package. I think that they just add them in there just in case, just to make sure that they're not, they're not expected to do anything with them. But there are no dampers. Testing and balancing, there shouldn't be any testing and balancing with that either. It's just the controls and alarms.
Are any of those systems in use elsewhere in our local area?
Actually, Sandy Knoll does have a building automation control system here in the school for the boilers. So that would tie into the same system as you guys have here.
And does JCI have a local presence in case
Yes.
we need emergency?
Yes, they do.
Okay.
Mrs. Dobbs, it's my understanding that some of the troubleshooting that might need to happen with these alarms could be done remotely.
Yes, so the nice thing about the building automation control system is you can access it through an app or on a computer, which Lloyd will be able to access and monitor all of the buildings. So he'll be able to see the temperature of the boilers. He'll be able to see if any of the air compressors that do the pneumatic controls in the building have a leak, and make sure the pumps are running, which is nice because if you guys are, on break or something and in the middle of the night, a boiler goes down and the temperature gets pretty low and it's a cold day, you guys can, know that you need somebody to come in as soon as possible to deal with that instead of having the fire department come in.
The fire department appreciated some of their calls that they've had to respond to, and I can tell you as an administrator, getting that call at 2 in the morning is not very pleasant as well. So being able to troubleshoot without coming physically into the buildings would be a great improvement. Thank you, Mrs. Dobbs. Any other questions for Mrs. Dobbs?
I have one more question.
Yes.
So I don't see Sandy Knoll in this proposal, but Sandy Knoll would be tied into the system as well, or would that be an extra cost, or is it separate monitoring?
No, Sandy Knoll, the boiler system is currently monitored by the control system.
And then, so then would it be tied then into
Yep,
this?
they'll all be on the same one.
Thank you.
Okay, so I have a motion by Cheryl Maddox Smith and a second by Eric Smith. Any more questions? No? All those in favor? Aye. Okay, lastly here is, I am looking at a motion to consider approval of the equitable recognition for 271 funding. And you want to give us, you already went over that, but a little more background?
Yeah,
31K.
it's 27L. It was again a legislation in the last budget that provided additional compensation for our employees that work under a CBA. We have 4 groups that work under a CBA. Essentially, our building principals is one. Our teachers, of course, are part of a group. Teachers, ancillary staff, etc. Our paraprofessionals, secretaries, aides, noon-hour supervisors, and then our last group is our custodians, bus drivers, etc. There's certainly other subgroups for each one. So this would extend that funding that was for those that work under a CBA, as the legislation was written, that would 27L funding. This would extend that funding to our non-union staff, which would include some of our central office staff, some of our long-term subs, and then there we have certain hourly employees that don't fall under a CBA. The only ones that would not be included would be Mr. Lampman and me.
Okay, then I will entertain a motion to approve this.
I will make a motion to approve the equitable recognition for 271 funding memo as presented.
Support.
All right, a motion and a support by Jason Zudnik and Cheryl Maddox Smith. Any questions or discussion? Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Okay, so we are moving on to board member comments. We'll start with you, Eric Smith.
Thank you. A couple of items. First, to Mrs. Brock, thank you for the presentation tonight. And I was particularly interested in focus on literacy and reading and the work that you're doing to help students become proficient. Especially in the age of AI, it worries me sometimes that we become too dependent on technology and we don't have those fundamental skills, which I'm sure everybody realizes without them, the AI doesn't work very well either. So thank you for all your work and the staff and the things that you're doing just to keep those students and getting them ready for more advanced work. And I also wanted to mention that for the last 2 weeks, I've had conversations with about 24 people in the community concerning our bond proposal. And one of the common questions that comes up has to do with why are we doing this? What's the genuine need? Why didn't we fix these problems sooner? And it's an interesting question to answer, but when people discover that the funding that we already have, the 1.3 million to help with maintenance, doesn't really address these major construction issues, they seem to get it. And I'm grateful that a lot of the people who are asking the questions are truly interested in making sure that the schools are sound and that they're going to be able to support our students that are attending, both from a safety perspective and from the pedagogical work that occurs every day inside the buildings. So I would just ask if people have continued questions to see any of the board members to contact our administration and certainly go to the website. It's great to see so much information on our website that allows people to see for themselves that this is a genuine need. We're not making this up, and it's something that we really need to pay attention to if we're going to continue to have a quality district.
Okay, thank you. Cassidy Thomas?
Yes, thank you to our speakers. Thank you, Ms. Joyce, for coming. Thank you to our student school board reps for coming and chatting with us as well. Thank you, Ms. Brock and your staff. Speaking of the bond proposal, I too went to Sandy Knoll about 25 years ago. I think I started here, and it looks the exact same. And I think that's good enough reason for you to want to vote this coming May. We update our homes more than every 25 or less than every 25 years. So it's hard to argue that these schools don't also need to be updated. So I can't tell you which way to vote, but you should vote on May 5th, certainly. Thank you.
Thank you. Cheryl Maddox Smith?
Yeah, just ditto, echoing everybody. I think that Mr. Smith said it perfectly, that, we're so grateful to our community for our 1.3 million sinking fund, but that honestly can't fix, $100 million of estimated repairs. And that was estimated by the state as well as an internal audit done by our own people. So, going to the community and talking with people, I had the similar experience that Mr. Smith has. Well, why aren't you guys fixing it with the sinking fund? Well, because the sinking fund can't cover that amount. And we are. I think we've been very fiscally responsible, and every year there's projects going on and so much going into the schools. And I do think that healthy schools, represent a healthy community. So, encourage everybody to look at the website, ask questions, and vote on May 5th. Thank you, Mrs. Brock, for the great presentation. I always love coming to Sandy Knoll, and everybody, all of our partners, GEI and Mrs. Dobbs, everybody explaining all of this stuff to us. You know, I didn't think that I would know as much about boilers as I now know about boilers and elevators as I do now. So thank you all for your expert input. We just couldn't do this without you guys, so thank you so much.
Thank you. Jennifer?
Thank you so much to Sandy Knoll and Ms. Brock. This was wonderful. It's always great to see the ins and outs of what the initiatives are at the various buildings, and learning is great. And, it's great to see the charts of efficiency in our math and our reading scores improve. Really impressed with the video that some high school students put out with Assistant Principal Pisano. I feel like that's the kind of stuff that our community needs to see. You know, if you could go down the road of rabbit hole of social media and things like that, people come up with really interesting theories of why things are done. So to see it from the horse's mouth, and to see the administrators who live in those buildings for sometimes 12 hours a day, certain and then the students themselves. I want to hear what the students have to say. If the students are excited about new boilers, that means they've sat in classes and been hot or cold for hours on end. And that matters to me, and it should matter to our community. So the fact that we are being so prudent and that so much of that money is going towards the invisible stuff that keeps the buildings intact and up to code and keeps kids warm, keeps water running. As it, even for the most prudent voter, I think that that has the legs to get this vote across the finish line. So first, thank you to our student reps. It's always great to hear what's going on.
Thank you. And Jason?
Thank you. No additional comments. Thank you.
Okay. So Board Vice President comment, myself. You can't walk into any school in this town, and the beauty of having all of our board meetings rotate from the schools and to hear the stories happening within the walls gives us the opportunity to walk inside every school there is, and you can feel the energy. You can feel the compassion for every student in this building. And it's always a positive feeling whenever I walk into any of the schools. You can also, on the flip side, see how worn the schools are and the need for repair and upkeep, and it goes beyond just aesthetics. We know that, as Ms. Clip and everyone else has said, you know, we're talking boiler systems here, we're talking heat, and we're talking, you know, ideally some air conditioning, but that I don't want to minimize the fact that, yes, this is an impact on every person in Marquette financially, and that's a reality. It does affect people. But when I look at the responsibility as a community to our schools and our children, and when I look at the impact, the small amount, which can be large for people, but the impact is profound. When we can get this bond passed, it will have an incredible impact on every student and every person in this community, because it's a ripple effect that affects us all. I also want to just emphasize the fact that what I've learned being on this board is how fiscally responsible this board is and has been. Even prior to being on it, we were handed a budget that was fiscally responsible and had a reserve. You always want that reserve. There are questions as to why that's not being used. It is being used, but it's being used wisely, and it's never going to be enough for what the bond is needed for. So I just want to emphasize that not only are we being fiscally responsible with the request of this bond, but also with what we have. And most of the budget is delegated towards 80%. I don't think people realize that goes to salaries. And so there's very little there, and there's very little wiggle room for how we can spend the funds. So there's not, and it's been so much transparency. From day one since I've been on this board, I've watched and I've learned, and it's been incredible to see the transparency from the administration to the board members themselves. So I am thrilled that all of the hard work with all of our partners has come to, such a wonderful presentation, and I'm looking forward to seeing how this vote turns out, and I really recommend everybody goes and votes. I already have myself, and it felt really, really good to vote. So thank you. Appreciate that. Lastly, I just have some announcements and other meetings to let everyone know about. On April 23rd, MSHS Academic Awards, NHS induction in the gym at 6:30 p.m. April 29th, the MSHS Spring Choral Concert will happen at the Kaufman Auditorium at 6:30. On May 4th, the Committee of the Whole MAHS Family Room at 5:30 p.m. And then May 4th as well, all BMS and MSHS Orchestra concert at the Kaufman Auditorium at 6:30 p.m. May 5th is the election day, so please vote. May 5th will be the MSHS Spring Band Concert at the Kaufman Auditorium at 6:30. And May 14th will be the BMS Spring Choral Concert at the Kaufman Auditorium at 6:30. And May 18th, the board meeting will be at Superior Hills Library at 5:30 p.m. And I encourage everybody to get out to the concerts. I have often missed them, and when I'm able to attend, it's pretty incredible, the talent in these schools of ours. So last, a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second. All right, we have a motion to adjourn by Cassidy Thomas and a second by Eric Smith. All those in favor? Aye. Thank you all.